I honestly think that this will have disastrous consequences because this will start an arms race between supporters of the Syrian regime and the rebels, of course. And the red line also, we have to know that the red lines is not supposed to be just for one side. The red lines has to be used for both sides. As we have seen UN reports, the rebel forces have used chemical weapons. Suggested that rebel forces have used. And we have also seen, Channel 4 has done a report, I think, also when there was this attack in Aleppo, that the rebel forces could have used also the
Although America's
weapons.
saying that they don't believe that anybody else could have got hold of the government stockpile.
Well, this is very interesting, and this also we have to notice what happened 2-3 weeks ago in Turkey, where 12 members of Syrian rebels, Islamist rebels, were caught with 2 kilograms of sarin gas, and this was rarely reported on other media. But the Russians have made a big fuss about it and asked for an investigation. This is why I'm saying that today it's very dangerous. A UN-led investigation has to be made to know exactly who has used those chemical weapons.
Sure. You talk about an arms race. But, I mean, that arms race has already been going on both sides, hasn't it? And many would say it's not an equal arms race, that in fact the government has far greater access to heavy weapons from Russia and Iran.
Of course, but today we're not really, it's not who's getting more. Today we have nearly 100,000 deaths in Syria. It's not also about really chemical weapons, because the people who were killed reportedly, from the chemical weapons, it's a very tiny numbers compared to the 100,000 death that has occurred.
No, sure,
now,
but isn't America effectively saying that the red line's crossed and we're going to start supplying some sort of military aid to try and even up the balance of power? I mean, that's what this is about. Because
the red line was crossed a long time ago by both sides, and the United States and the international community should have stopped the ongoing conflict long time ago and shouldn't have waited until after 2 years of the conflict going on. Today, as you know, most of the peaceful uprising have been hijacked by Islamist groups such as Newshour and other groups. Now we have also Syrian supporters that are coming into the conflict, such as Hezbollah and some other groups from Iraq. So it's becoming very dangerous. We have had Al-Qaradawi, who has called on jihad against Alawites and Shias.
The Muslim cleric.
Yes, and who has said that they are more infidels than Christians and Jews. And the next day you have the Grand Mufti of Saudi Arabia, who has endorsed him and said that, what Qaradawi said is actually great, and he came back to his senses.
So would it have been better for the US to have stepped in earlier?
I think that the United States and the international community and the Security Council cannot be involved in a sectarian war between Sunnis and Shias. The international community has to, to bring all sides on the table. They have to stop militarization. They have to ask all foreign fighters to get out of Syria, not only the ones fighting on the side of the regimes, but all foreign fighters to get out of Syria. And they have to really bring all sides to the dialogue and to the negotiating table.
I mean, are you saying that you'd like your organization to be represented?
No, I think everybody should be invited. I'm not talking about me. I'm saying many other people.
But I mean, do you have supporters who want their grievances and feelings
Of course,
heard?
we have many supporters.
Right.
We receive many emails, and a lot of people who have been with the
But
uprising.
who are they, just out of interest? I mean, obviously you're not a fan of the Assad government.
Of course
but are they Alawites who are worried about the future?
Honestly, there are people from all over Syria, not only Alawites. I told you I've been raised in the West, and I don't like to talk. I don't like even to recognize divisions between Islam. I think this is where the whole problem is that divisions in Islam is in itself is bad.
But that is what has happened, hasn't it?
Unfortunately, yes. But this is why we have to people with like-minded have to come together and try to bring the moderate people together. You cannot call, for example, the Free Syrian Army or the Supreme Military Council of the Syrian Army as moderate rebels.
Do you think your cousin Bashar al-Assad and his inner circle will be worried by what the US has said about the red line being crossed and some sort of military aid being sent? I mean, will that be a game changer for them?
Are they just
fighting to hold on to power, whatever the cost?
Of course they are fighting. After 2 years of, they have chosen that way. They have chosen to fight the people, the peaceful resolution at the beginning. Today, they are deep in. They cannot change. People around
Some
Bashar...
would say that they're winning.
People around Bashar would never change because they know very well, and they knew from the beginning when people started rising up against the regime, that the only way for them was to fight the peaceful uprising, because they know very well Bashar at the beginning did not have any people, as you know, who were really against him, but they were against the system, they were against the regime, they were against his cousins, they were against the corruption that was going on, they were against the tortures, they were against the secret services, and those people would never accept, Syria to move towards genuine democracy. This is why they have chosen to fight their way, and this is where we are today.
Can you see Syria splitting up, splitting apart?
Well, I really wouldn't like that to happen in Syria. It's very dangerous, If
but
all sides,
is it a possibility?
If all sides continue, I mean, the Syrian people until now have been very intelligent, very smart, very mature about what's going on. But if calls from all those, really crazy clerics around the region calling for jihad and sectarian warfare, it's very worrying. Where are we heading to? This is why I said the West, the international community, should certainly not take side.
But you imagine that one day you could return from exile?
Of course we will return. I told you, this is my dream. I want my son to be able to go back to his country. I want my family. I want everyone. We have family there. I have brothers and sisters there. I have my sister who just passed away in Syria 2 months ago, and we were not able to even attend the funerals. The regime sent the secret services to bury her. They were afraid that my father would go back and attend the funerals. So this is what we're going through. This is why I told you we are in the worst position. We are at the same time fighting, this regime that that has exiled us, or that put us in exile for the past 30 years. And at the same time, we are fighting those Islamists who see in everyone who doesn't share their perverted belief as an infidel.